Welcome back, everybody, to CBS News 24/7. I'm Reed Cowan. So we begin with breaking news out of Washington. The House Ethics Committee will release its report on the investigation into former Representative Matt Gaetz regarding allegations of sexual misconduct and obstruction. So this move marks a massive reversal after Republicans originally blocked its release. Gaetz firing back on X, saying, quote, "I was charged with nothing, fully exonerated, not even a campaign finance violation, and the people investigating me hated me." He went on to say, instead, House Ethics will reportedly post a report online that I have no opportunity to debate or rebut as a former member of the body. So joining us live on the stream to talk about this is CBS News political campaign reporter Taurean Small. Taurean, when can we expect this committee report to be released?
Well, Reed, sources familiar tell CBS News that that report is expected to drop after the last amount of business of the 118th Congress. So it could be the end of this week. It could also be after the new year, but we know it will definitely be released before the new Congress is sworn in. And what's interesting, not just about this development, but also about that statement, Gaetz seemed to admit, or at least in some form, that he was privy to and did participate in some not so savory activities, in his words, womanizing. But he said it was nothing criminal, and it's an embarrassment that the committee, in his mind, which is politically persecuting him, is looking to put that out after he has left Congress. What's also interesting about this is this happened in secrecy. This panel decided at the beginning of the month to release this. We're finding out about it through sources, but at least two, according to sources familiar, at least two Republican members of this panel decided to vote with Democrats to release this report. What this can mean for their political futures is left to be seen, Reed.
All right, so let's go back in time. Let's look at a timeline here. Matt Gaetz resigns from Congress, arguably on the 11th hour before all of this would have come up. He did so to go ahead and accept the future that he thought was ahead of him for President-elect's appointment of him. But then once he pulled himself out of consideration, he could have gone into Congress again. He could have rescinded that withdrawal from the United States Congress and debated these things, correct?
Correct, but the problem with that, at least I would imagine this is what he saw, is the fact that it would be fair game again for the panel to release this investigation, this report on him. Senator or House Speaker Mike Johnson said that part of the reason why he wasn't a fan of this panel releasing this information is because he's now a private citizen, technically. He left Congress on his own, so there's no need for, or there's no jurisdiction really for this panel's investigation. Now, obviously, as we know from sources, that's no longer a thing.
No longer a thing. Okay, so let's talk about the House spending bill to avoid a government shutdown, kicking the can down the road, as it were. Walk us through what's in this.
Well, if you ask some Republicans who are not too happy, too much pork. There are things like extensions of health programs that they're not too happy with, new rules in there that would be beneficial or favorable to the ethanol industry. But really the sticking point that was the cause for such this delay in the release of the text of this was about disaster relief. We saw President Biden ask Congress for about $100 billion in aid that would help out with Hurricane Helene and Milton efforts. We saw about $110 billion in this bill. That $10 billion would go to relief for farmers. And this is because the 2018 Farm Bill, I know it sounds like it's a long time ago, but this lasts for 5 years. This is a huge spending package that appropriates money to the ag industry. Congress kicked the can down the road. They failed to pass another 5-year bill in 2023, so decided to push it off with an extension until September of this year. They were unable to again pass a full bill or an extension. Another 1-year extension, though, is included in this bill.
All right, so while we have you, Taurean, Trump's picks for the nation's top posts continuing to court lawmakers. Of course, RFK Jr., he'll be back for yet another day. Trump's Treasury pick, Scott Bessent, will cross party lines. I thought this was fascinating. He's going to meet with Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren. She is famously an anti-Wall Street critic. What could come from that?
Well, she's open to the idea of starting the conversation early. She has told reporters that she is uninterested in an adversarial relationship, and she wants to send some warnings his way, especially about tampering with the Federal Reserve. She likes, although she has had issues with Jerome Powell, she likes a bit of autonomy that it has, and she's concerned by the fact that the government, or that department, would have some type of influence, potentially negative influence, under President Trump. So she's looking to sit down with at least this one member or appointee by President Trump. And she's not the only Democrat that's looking to have conversations. As we talked about before, Reed, John Fetterman has been one of the rare Democrats on the Hill to step forward and sit down with some of the more controversial picks, including Pete Hegseth, Trump's pick for defense. But again, not too many Democrats stepping up forward this time. They would rather see the process out, wait for their confirmation hearing for these picks in order to fully vet these people that Trump is putting up.
CBS News political campaign reporter Taurean Small, always an honor to get to talk to you. A sharp mind and sharp dressed at that. Have a great day, friend.